Assertion reason. Now, this is an important topic when it comes to logical reasoning. This actually carries more marks than cause and effect. Okay, and it's a sure topic to come, both in CLAT and ILET. We normally see it for about 4 to 5 marks in CLAT, and ILET at one point they had asked up to 6 marks in logic for assertion reason. Okay, um, let's look at the concept of assertion reason. Now, when you say that you are making an assertion, okay, what you're doing is when you make a statement, you're asserting something based on a fact. Okay, the only way that you could make a statement confidently is when you know your facts, right? So, to put it very colloquially, to state confidently is to assert something. Now, when we work out assertion reason problems, please keep this in mind. We need to understand the truth and the falsity of these statements, both assertion and reason. And we have to do that individually, which means we have to assess if the given assertion is firstly true or false. Secondly, we need to ascertain if the reason given is true or false. Okay, we have to do this individually. And this is another tip that I want to give you is we are only in June now, and the exam is only next year May. So this is a good time to at least spend some time every day, maybe even 15-20 minutes covering some of your static GK, because in assertion reason your questions are usually based on basic science. When I say basic science, it is class 8, 9, 10 science. Okay, so we have properties of materials, okay, or properties of metals, state of the metal, at what temperature is it liquid, and so on. Okay, so those kind of properties. Then we are looking at things like optics, for example, reflection and refraction, right? So these kind of concepts should be very clear. We have all studied this in school, but what happens is in an assertion type of statement, they will give you the assertion and you should know your science really well to know if it is true or false. Okay. Similarly with geography and history, just try and run through these topics whenever you find time, because it will definitely help you with assertion and reason topic. So let me show you what a typical example will look like. Here we have what assertion and reason looks like. They would give you 5 options, right? So you have, these are the 5 options. Okay, typically in your CLAT exam and ILET, we only have 4 options. So not all 5 will come in your exam, okay? But the chances are A, B, either C or D, and E will come. Okay, so I need to prepare you for all 5, so we'll do all 5. But normally in all your law entrance exams, they only have 4 out of these 5 is asked. Akhila, I think you don't have access to mic, right? So I'll ask the other participants. Okay, first question, Ridhima, can you give us an answer for the first one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. And second one, Nivedita, can you just attempt the second one? I'm just making it slightly larger. Okay, so you can see. Okay, okay, first one, Ridhima, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what's your answer?
Ma'am, both assertion and reasoning are true, so R is the correct explanation of A.
Very good. So your answer key would be A. Okay. All right. Do you want to give us an explanation or shall I just explain? It's quite self-explanatory. Okay, we feel colder on mountains than plains because as we go higher in altitude, the temperature drops. Correct? And this is the right reason for the given assertion. Okay. Next one, second one, Nivedita, do you want to try? Can you hear me?
I think the answer is B.
B. Okay, let's
B.
see.
B.
B for Bombay.
Yes.
Both are true, but R is not correct. Okay, let's look at this. Now here, assertion is true. Inside the earth, metals are present in the molten state. What are they called?
Magma.
Lava. Very good. Now here he says earth absorbs the sun's rays. Now that is not true. What happens? Earth reflects the sun's rays. Correct? Is that true? Here we are. So here assertion is true, but the given reason is not true. Okay, the earth reflects the sun's rays. So this metal being present in a molten state is not because of sun's rays, but why is it in a molten state? Because of high temperature and pressure inside the earth. Okay, so the reason here is not true. Your answer would be C. Assertion is true, but reason is false. Okay, now here, did you give me the B answer, Nivedita?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so difference between B and C is when R is, the reason should be somewhat true, as in it should be a truth statement. Okay, here
Okay.
the reasoning given itself is a false statement. If it was a true statement but not the real reason for this assertion, then you can go for B. Got it?
Okay.
But here C says assertion is true, R is false, which is true. R is definitely false. Now when R is true but not the correct explanation for A, then you go with B. Okay. Now here again the assertion says silver is not used to make electric wires. Okay. The assertion is true. Silver is not used. What is instead used? Copper. Copper is used to make electric wires. Silver is not. One of the reasons is because silver is expensive. But silver is a bad conductor is not the reason. It's actually a good conductor of electricity. So here the reason given is false and the assertion is true. Okay. Now when the assertion is true and reason given is false, our answer should be C. Okay. Take a minute, go through the question. Okay, we roughly have less than 2 minutes. Okay, so let me just explain this question. And for the next class, the meeting ID and the class timings, and we'll continue with the same topic, assertion reason. We'll do a couple of problems, but the email will be sent to you, so you will get to know. Let's look at this problem. Plaster of Paris is used by doctors. It should be for setting fractured bones. Okay. Now the reason given is when plaster of Paris is mixed with water and applied around fractured limbs, it sets into hard mass. And because it sets into a hard mass, what happens is it keeps these bones, whatever broken parts are there, it keeps the bones intact in the same fixed position. Okay. So that is the reason that we use plaster of Paris when you have to set fractured bones. Now the given reason is true and correct explanation, right? And the given assertion is also true. So here your answer would be A. So let's start the class. So today we'll be doing assertion reason, and though last class we did kind of start it, I just want to give you some more information. Okay, so logical reasoning, we're starting the class now. Assertion reason is the topic. Okay, as indicated earlier, it's 4 to 6 marks in CLAT or IELTS exam. Now let's look at what we understand by assertion. Okay, so if you were to, if one was to try and define what assertion is, okay, in that case we would look at something that is stated confidently, okay, something that is based on fact and therefore you can say it's a factual statement, okay, and it has to be asserted. Okay, assertion just means that something that is told in total, uh, you're boldly saying something because you know it to be true. Okay, now from an exam point of view, like your common law admission test, the examiner wants to understand, not if if this assertion and reason, not in the generic sense that we understand, but they want to know if you actually know the facts. Okay, and if you do know the facts, are you able to ascertain that the assertion is true or false? At the same time, if the reason is true or false. Okay, now many a times the assertion may be true and the reason also may be true, but the given reason will not be the right uh, reason or the correct explanation for this assertion to take place. Okay, so that is what we see in the choices. Now concept wise, uh, just to reiterate, to state confidently is to assert and ascertain the truth or falsity of these statements. You have to do them individually. Okay, it's very important that you do it individually. So let's look at the next slide. Yes, these are the 5 choices. Both assertion and reason are true, but reason is the correct explanation here, but reason is not the correct explanation. Okay, so many a times assertion and reason both may be true, but sometimes this is the correct explanation and sometimes it's not the correct explanation. Third option is talking about assertion being true but given reason is false, or assertion is false, reason is true, or if both are false. Okay, typically we see A, B, either C or D and E option coming in your law entrance exams. Okay, to recap, we did this in the last class. River Narmada flows westward. Okay, so I've got a map of India here. So let's look at this map, this Indian map, right? So you have the river Narmada here. So it originates somewhere in central India, but then it flows out into the Arabian Sea. So here river Narmada flows westward is actually true. The reason given, Narmada falls into Bay of Bengal, is false. It falls into Arabian Sea. So here the answer would be A is true, but reason is false. Okay, so yeah, answer would be C. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the assertion. I hope most of you have done it. Now here we have, remember we talked about general science. Okay, general science is very important. This is class 8 onwards. So you will remember this from basic science, that's general science. Baking soda creates acidity in stomach is wrong. What it actually does is neutralizes the acidity in the stomach. Okay, so this assertion itself is false. When assertion is false, we have two choices between D and E. Okay, we need to find out which is the right answer. Now here he says baking soda is alkaline. Okay, now this is true because baking soda actually helps in neutralizing the acidity in the stomach. Okay, and therefore this reason is true, but assertion is false. So our answer would be D option. Okay, anyone who's got that wrong, just take a minute to understand why you've got it wrong, and I would strongly advise that you read up a little bit of general science at least once a week, an hour or two. Okay, so here's the explanation for the answer. Okay, so try the next problem, take 2-3 minutes. Okay, so let's look at this question. I hope most of you have done it. Do you need more time, any of you? Okay, so let's look at the assertion given. They've said when a body is dipped in liquid fully or partially, there's a decrease in weight. Okay. Now, do you remember the Archimedes Principle? Remember where we get, basically it says when a body is immersed in a liquid, there's an upward thrust. Okay, and the upward thrust is equal to the weight of the liquid that is displaced. So there will be an upward thrust. The decrease in weight, okay, is due to higher density of the displaced liquid is false. It is not due to the higher density of the displaced liquid, but the upward thrust of the displaced liquid. Okay, so in this case, assertion will be true, correct? Does anyone have a doubt? Assertion is true, but reason is false. Okay, so at this point, we'll take a pause and we'll see if anyone has any questions. Here's the explanation for that question. Okay, any doubts? Anyone has a doubt, please you raise your hand and we can discuss, or we'll just continue with the next question. Okay, take a minute or two and try and solve this problem. Okay, the assertion is talking about copper being used to make electric wires. Okay, so this assertion we all know to be true. Okay, copper is widely used to make electric wires, and that's because they conduct electricity. They're good conductors. Okay, now here let's look at the reason given. So assertion is true. Here assertion is true. So our answer choices are one of the three. Reason given says copper has very low electrical resistance. Now, electrical resistance means it's the difficulty to pass electric current through whatever the metal is. Okay. Now here, this is wrong. It has here this would be one of you. Can you tell me, is this true or false? The reason. Does copper has low electrical resistance or high electrical resistance? Is the reason given true or false? Anyone? Akhila, do you want to try? You, who is talking, please? Varun. Okay, Varun. You think copper has very low electrical resistance is false? Okay. See, electrical resistance means it's the resistance that any metal has towards allowing the electricity to pass through. Okay. Now, when you have very low electrical resistance, that means you are actually a good conductor. Okay. If you had very high electrical resistance, that means you're a bad conductor. Okay. So now, what is your answer? Answer has to be A. Correct. Okay. Uh, let's look at the assertion. In India, the judiciary is independent of the executive, which is a true statement. Okay. The reason given is judiciary favors the government and helps them implement its plans. Now, this given reason is false. Okay, so your answer would be C. Take a minute or two and try and answer the question. Remember, just try and figure out if assertion is true, reason is true, and then if the given reason is the correct explanation or not. Okay. Between assertion and reason, and if the given reason is true for this assertion. Okay, the assertion says uranium undergoes nuclear fusion reaction. Okay, I hope everyone knows fusion and the fission. These are two nuclear reactions that have we've all studied. Okay, and there's a basic difference. In fusion, two unstable nucleuses are brought together, and in fission, one large one breaks apart. Okay, now in this case, the given assertion is false. Okay, uranium undergoes nuclear fission reaction, and the reason given is it has a big and unstable nucleus, which is true. This is the correct explanation for whatever the assertion is, but here the given assertion itself is wrong. Correct? So then we have to go with assertion is false, but reason given is true. Okay, now here some students always ask me, when it says it has a big, should we just assume that we are still talking about uranium? Yes. Okay, in assertion reason questions, they are always related to each other, not like how we looked at cause and effect when you have independent causes and effects of independent causes and all that. Okay, here the reason is always within the same subject matter that we are talking about in the assertion. So here your answer would be D.